This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Wisdom Podcast, where business owners making mid-five figures or more share their wisdom at 6 questions in 9 minutes, because transforming possibility leads to reality. So let's get to it. Question number 1. In a few sentences, tell me who you are and what you do.
My name is SJ Barkony. SJ is my name, and it's not initials. Barkony. I am a serial entrepreneur. I operate in the educational space. I offer 4 monetized services. I offer a bridge between career, job, and college readiness to life readiness, because I deliver people with soft and interpersonal skills, and I ensure that we have life-ready citizens. And then my second venture is with the H7 Network, h7network.com. I do business development here in Central Ohio, Columbus Metro. I have half of Columbus.
Nice. Beautiful. Life readiness, you said as well? Life readiness?
Correct, because the conventional system of what we call education in the West, including here in America and elsewhere, usually drops off a graduate, whether they're 17, 18, 21, 22, or even in their late 20s if they go to graduate programs. It drops them off at a state of career readiness or job readiness, or if they're younger, college, university readiness. In my view, that's not enough. We need to build a bridge to life readiness. And that's what the 4 services that I offer enable.
Love it. Love it. Question number 2. What's the best thing about being in business, SJ?
Being able to serve and solve. Serve people and solve challenges, obstacles, roadblocks, issues at a very deep level. So in other words, you've seen the images, Brad, I'm sure, of the big iceberg with 90% of it below the waterline. That's where I operate when it comes to education. I'm below the waterline. And when it comes to H7, that's an area of helping business people build relationships, which lead to referrals, which lead to revenue, in that order. I also operate below the waterline there because a lot of people go off and network and they don't understand why it's not working, or they think it's a waste of time, or things like that. I'm operating below the waterline to make a difference.
Love it. I love it. Depth. Absolutely love it. Question number 3. You'll love this. We hear from other business owners are getting so much business that the chaos sometimes causes overwhelm. Tell me your thoughts, SJ.
I think the chaos causes overwhelm when you don't have systems in place. I was taught systems thinking earlier on, and it's actually something that I believe is a resolve we can make as a business professional, as an entrepreneur. Is Ben Franklin taught us 13 resolves or resolutions many, many years ago, a couple centuries plus ago. One of mine that I adopted about 5-6 years ago is to think in systems. And I don't have all my systems figured out. They're not all working perfectly, but I get the principle. And I think that is the antidote to the toxin of chaos and overwhelm.
Love it. And Ben Franklin, man, he put some stuff out. One of the most quoted people ever. Love it. Question number 4, what other successful business owners like yourself should be on the Unlimited Wisdom Podcast?
I have several friends of mine, Brad, in my network who I think should either cross guest because they're already a host like you. I'll throw a couple quick names out there that I'd be happy to introduce you to. A gentleman named Rick Copeland. He does his own podcast. There's a gentleman named Joe Kessel, has his own podcast. They'd be great to cross over. And then I have a few people in my network who are not current hosts, like Angela Harris, a gentleman named Terry Dismore. They're looking for opportunities to get their messaging out by being a guest. So there's 4 names right there for you. And if I thought more, I could probably double it.
Love it. Love it. Thank you very much. Question number 5, the important one. Let's get to the crux of it. What piece of wisdom would you share with other business owners, SJ?
I believe that education and entrepreneurship are intertwined and they cannot be separated. I believe that if you want to be a successful, significant entrepreneur, you must be deeply educated, depth as well as width, and it must be a lifelong pursuit. So in other words, they call it in some cases a proof of work environment. So if you are a business professional listening or watching this and you are employing people in any way, 1099 W-2, you need to make sure you're judging them by lifelong learning, proof of work, rather than proof of credential, which is where you're just looking for the piece of paper. So that's the first thing, is you have to be deeply and broadly educated, lifelong learning at the core of your culture, whether you are hiring people or whether it's just yourself. And then on the flip, to be educated deeply, you have to understand entrepreneurship. You don't necessarily have to be an entrepreneur, but you need to understand it. You need to understand what exactly entrepreneurship does. You need to respect the people in your network that are entrepreneurs, and you need to if people come to you and are looking for connections to entrepreneurs, maybe you are a conventionally employed person, you need to be willing to build a bridge so they can talk to those people and perhaps they become mentor-mentees or coach-client type of relationships. So in other words, those two things are intertwined and they should not be separated.
I absolutely love that message, SJ. Super powerful. I believe we could talk about that every day and probably still not get the word out. I often refer to that as collaboration many times, but I think unless someone understands, you did a great job of explaining what that means and not just having that word linger. I absolutely love your message. Thank you. Let's switch gears for just a moment and just talk about something more fun. What's the most fun vacation you ever had? Not that entrepreneurship isn't fun, because it is. It's a blast.
My favorite was when I was still conventionally employed. And I was able at the time to get this, Brad, a three-week trip. Pretty rare for people, unless you go back to that earlier question, you get those systems, then you can take 6-week trips and things like that. But I went on a 3-week trip over a decade ago when I was still conventionally employed to Flagstaff and Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yeah.
And I live in Central Ohio. I'm an Ohioan all my life. So I'm Midwest through and through, here in the DNA right here and such. And so going all the way out west was a really neat experience because it was way outside of the geographic, the weather zones that I was used to. And I really, truly enjoyed that trip. And at some point, we'll get back out that way.
Love it. I went out there last year and I was just wowed by all the mountains and the desert terrain, and the people that lived there in California and Arizona, they were like, this is normal. I'm like, not to me, this is great. So I totally relate. I love it. SJ, thank you for being on and thank you for your time today. What's the website, or how could people get in touch with you?
I'll give you one website for each of the ventures I mentioned earlier, Brad. The first for my educational work with the 4 services, that would be servicebeforeselfleadership.com, all 4 words spelled out, no spaces or anything. And then for my work in teaching business relationships, community building, and understanding that networking can be valuable when done right, that is H7, the letter H, the number 7 network, altogether.com, h7network.com. And if you go under the Columbus header, you'll see my picture and my contact information.
Love it. Absolutely love it. This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Wisdom Podcast, where business owners making mid-5 figures or more share their wisdom globally. Thanks for joining us.